Look at that. First one in. You're the first one in and the only person in.
Well, I thought it said there was somebody else waiting too. I'm surprised I'm the only one here.
Oh, there probably are a few waiting. I haven't seen it in the window though.
Okay, because it said there was people waiting when I signed on. There's two more people ahead of me.
Two more people ahead of you?
Yeah.
That's weird. No, I don't see anybody trying to get in.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay.
4 attendees have joined, it says, but they're in the waiting room. But I don't see anybody in the waiting room.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because before I got in, it said there was people ahead of me. So I'm like, oh, okay.
That's weird. There's been some weird stuff going on today, and I don't know what's going
Hey,
on. I
heads
lost an
up for you.
email today. I downloaded it and it's just gone.
Yeah.
And I
Heads
thought,
up for you too is the fishermen have a webinar at 12:30. That might suck some of your traffic away.
yeah, they'll be mad at that meeting and then leave.
I just thought I'd give you the heads up that that might impact how many you get.
Arthur and I have been talking about that group, and it's destined to fail.
Well, just when you have two at the same time, it always splits attention. Right?
Well, their biggest problem is that they don't offer what Arthur and I are talking about. They offer basically a new Squarespace platform.
Yeah, I haven't been to any of their webinars, but the way they write it, it sounds very pitchy to me.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're going to get pitched by a lot of people in that group.
Yeah.
This is one of the few. I don't know if you can count on more than one hand the number of groups in all of Alignable that just really put the hammer down and say there's no solicitation other than our group.
Get away from that whole pitchy thing because it just wastes 20 to 30 minutes of time everyone doing an introduction, and it's like, well, who wants to listen to 30 minutes of commercials before you get to any content?
I I got told this week I have to become a premier member or I'm out.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So you got to start paying.
Yep.
Like Premier, as in the $75.
It's 30 for the less expensive one for just the typical premier.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if they're pushing it to the top end. I didn't know.
No, you can get that, and there are some special things. They're trying to push that, but they're not saying you have to. It's just that's an option. We really'd like you to buy that one. But they're saying if you don't by the end of this month, if you don't purchase at least the $30 a month one,
lose your ability to run.
You can stay in the group, but you won't be admin anymore. They're going to find somebody else who will pay and get in there, which means there won't be anybody, or I'll turn it over and it will end up just like all the others, which is just a pile of shit that the flies are coming to.
Well, they're all glorified networking events because that's what they're trying to push.
Right. But I think that they see, and it's weird, there's only 2 people in the waiting room.
Do you want to restart it? Do you want me to get out and you can restart
No.
it, or are you just going to wait?
Yeah, I see 4 participants. Well, that's you and me, that's true, and 2 in the waiting room. So many people just wait until the last minute. But I think that you're going to end up, and I think that Alignable has seen this particular group, our group, as one that, you know what, just leave them alone. They're bringing in a lot of people. A lot of people are happy with that group, so just leave it. Except that they said, yeah, but you're going to have to pay to be there.
Yeah. That must be something you're still thinking about. Hey, is it worth it or not?
Oh, I had a big discussion with Arthur, and he was saying that it's just wrong that they're asking you, but I'm between a rock and a hard place with Alignable right now because that's a huge audience and everything is working just like we've been trying to put together. So if I walk away now, it's like I got to start all over somewhere, and I don't know where.
Unfortunately, it's their game, their rules, right? So
yeah.
Between a rock and a hard place.
Exactly. I mean, it's just absolutely wrong. You're volunteering to help them, but now you got to pay to do that.
Yeah.
I don't get that at all. The only part that I understand is that they're trying to rape as many people as possible for as much money as they can.
Well, and I sympathize because I'm not a paying member, so I can't speak to why you should because I don't pay.
I have never been because the problem is, and what I have posed to them, and I'm waiting for them to respond, and I haven't heard anything. I don't think they will. But I said, listen, I've thought about being a premier for months, but I don't because I won't gain any area. They'll go, oh, we've got all these cities and those cities. And I said, not a one of those cities that I don't already have has any businesses. They're all little tiny towns. Maybe the biggest one could be 2,000 people. So there's no businesses there. Guess I better open up the waiting room.
See if there's people actually there, yeah.
Yeah. And what's weird is it's not saying admit them. There we go. Dang. Now you're going to be muted. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Looks like people are slow to jump in here today. I was kind of hesitant to hit the button to say, come on in. 58 people, 6, 7, 8. 9. There you go. There's Arthur. Now the people are coming in. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Got a couple of new faces. Hi, Bonnie. There they come. Now we're up to a whole 10. Stragglers are coming in. Wait just a minute or so for those stragglers. I'm expecting probably another 10 or 15 people, but who knows? Bonnie, you getting things set up right? I haven't heard from you, so I thought maybe you're... Oh, sorry, I got to unmute you. Now you can unmute yourself.
I'm working on what you said.
Say that again?
I'm working on
Working on it? Okay.
it. Yeah. I'll contact you when, I feel like I've done a lot.
Okay. That's fair enough. Juan, you're welcome, Juan. We're going to wait just a few more. Well, I'll give him one more minute. That's it. Then we'll go live. Which reminds me, if anybody doesn't want to be seen on camera, we do stream. So we'll be in YouTube. If you don't want your face to show, just turn your camera off. But you can stay. You don't have to go anywhere. Well, that's a big smile. Is that Josiah? Josiah? You're laughing about something. Must be good while you're driving along. $11:03. I'm waiting for it to hit 11:04, and then we're starting. And there's Art. Nice of you to show up, Arthur. You have all your controls? Do I have to unmute you? I thought you didn't have that. You're muted. You're mute today.
Mute today, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't have the controls.
Well, that's odd because I specifically clicked that you were host before the meeting started. That's just, I don't get that. Yeah, there's another person. It's 11:04. We're on the road. We're going. We're live. So for all the new people and for some of the old people, I'm Tom Garrison, and this is the SEO Tom streaming live. So if you would rather not show your face on camera because I am streaming, then you can just turn your camera off. And other than that, you can stay. And if you have any questions, raise your hand, or you can hit the reaction button and raise your hand. Stand up and jump up and down and wave your arms, but we'll get to you. And I'd like to introduce Arthur Moorhead. He's here with us today. He's a co-host, and we are both for hire web developers. Say hello, Arthur. You're muted again. Yeah, he's a mute. He's just waving at everybody, doing a very odd wave.
Muting, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Keeps muting.
And folks, if you're using WordPress with Elementor, Arthur's the guy you need to talk to if you got problems with Elementor. He's a whiz there. Okay. Do I get everything? Oh, and if anybody's looking for recordings, you know what? They've changed things around. So I've got 30 plus recordings. And if you would like to access some of the older ones or any of the videos, just get in touch with me after the meeting and I'll send you a link to be able to do that. There is a link in our group up at the top in the main page of the group section underneath the word resources. And you can hit that link and get right to the videos. You'll need to register. It keeps the public from getting into all of the recordings. So today, I want everybody to first know, especially the newbies, I like to start out the meeting by saying SEO is an experiment. And for those that don't understand that, it just means that there are no steps that you follow that give you the specific results. There are steps to follow, and then you have to experiment to see if that one worked better than some other steps that you could have taken. So SEO is a pretty big game. Got a lot of things to mix together to be able to get what you need to work for your website. One of those things is a tool called Lighthouse, and that's what we're going to touch on today. Any hands? Anybody ever use Lighthouse? Any of the group here? Nobody's ever used Lighthouse? Okay, well then this should be a good experiment for you. Let's see. Does anybody have a website that they would like to throw up so that we can review it? Hands? Anything? Anybody? No? No? Oh, Josiah, go ahead. Well, I guess I got to have you unmute. There you go.
Hi.
Hi there.
Okay, yeah, so my website is onestop.expert. And it's kind of new, so, and I've tried to, work on whatever I know about with SEO, but maybe it'd be a good open can at this point.
Could you put the link in the chat?
I think I have it. Telecom? One Stop Telecom?
Yes.
Okay. And I will throw that into the chat since I get this to everyone in case everybody wants to follow along. So I will share that screen. Okay, can everybody see One Stop Telecom? Yes, no, maybe? Anybody? Bonnie, you can see it? Okay.
I see it.
All righty. Now, for any of you who already know Chrome, I'm using the incognito, so we have less interference. If you don't know incognito, it's pretty simple. You open Chrome, and up at the top right in the three dots, it'll give you the option to click on incognito, private window. So that's where we'll start. And you can imagine this as being your website. Doesn't make any difference. We're not looking at anything other than how to see it through the eyes of Lighthouse. So let's just say that you arrived at the site, find some place where you can right click and you check inspect. That gives you a bunch of gobbledygook that you don't have to understand. But here on this bar, you'll see Lighthouse. Click on that Lighthouse. You want to make sure that it's mobile is checked. And these categories to the right, all 5 of those categories are checked. That's pretty simple so far. Lighthouse is fairly simple. The next thing is analyze page load. And then you sit back and wait for it to analyze it. Sometimes it can take about a minute or so. Just depends on how much information is on the page. Any questions so far about how I got there, or what to use? Anybody? We're all working with experts today, Arthur. They know all this stuff. Okay. So you've had a chance to look as I was taking a sip of coffee to try to wake up a little bit more. And Josiah is actually working pretty well. 2.5, 3 seconds total for the largest contentful paint. That means that's the longest it takes to be able to load. So all of these things are important, but the first thing that you're looking at is performance. Performance is saying, does the page load quickly? Does it take a long time to load? What's going on with the performance of the site? And that's the biggest thing that you're interested in. There's a tremendous amount of information that you can go through, but I'm going to walk you through the stuff that you need to know and that you can address. Yes, we could take hours and go into each little detail, but that's not what's going to help you the most. You need to know, is your site fast enough to let mobile devices into your site? And if none of you or some of you are unfamiliar with that, if your site is not fast enough for mobile devices to be able to get in other words, if it doesn't load whatever page, if any of the pages are not loading in less than 3 seconds, chances are Google's not going to allow those pages to be shown in the search results. And Vic wants to see the steps again on how to get there. Okay. Anybody else want to see that again? I'm betting that, sometimes when you ask a question or you're afraid to ask a question, you think that you're the only one. Trust me, everybody else is probably getting ready to ask the same question. So we'll start that again. We're here at a website. Doesn't make any difference what website it is. We just happen to pick this one because Josiah said, take a look at this. All right. So now that you're on the page, you'll notice up here in this slider, I don't have the right click. Well, I guess I do. A lot of times you don't. If there's some place that doesn't allow you to right click, just move down the page until you get to somewhere that you can hit the word inspect. It's at the bottom of the options when you right click. Anybody lost so far? Somebody in chat? Okay, we'll take a look at yours in a minute, Nina. Right now, we're just looking to see how you open up Lighthouse. So we're going to right click, click inspect, and then in this first bar right here, before just ignore all the code that's down below everything, just look at this bar, and you're looking for Lighthouse. Okay, everybody got that written down? Click on Lighthouse. In there, you're going to have the option of desktop or mobile. You have absolutely no concern about performance for desktop because their desktop is going to perform well all the time. So that's irrelevant. You want mobile checked. So device is mobile. All the categories, performance, accessibility, blah, 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 all these 5 over here to the right, you want to check those. Once they're checked, you click on Analyze Page Load, this blue button over to the right. Okay, and here we go. Click that button and it is doing the work. Lighthouse is doing the work to inspect the page, and it does just one page at a time. So if you're expecting it to do the whole site, that's not what it's for. You want to know the performance of each page one at a time. And this one has a 90% performance, which means it's loading fast enough that mobile devices can get in and read the page. That's what you're looking for. Now, I'm going to move this bar down for a second because I want you to see he's got this huge slider up there, and you would think that's going to slow down the page. But there's, even with a couple of other images, he's created this site well enough that he can have those images in there and still make the site fast enough for mobile devices. When you see a 1.6 seconds time to interactive, that means how long does it take before a mobile device can actually scroll or do something in that website? Now that's not bad for 1.6 seconds. And at 2.8 seconds in the speed index, that's just under 3, and you have 3 seconds or less to hold on to a mobile device when they come to your site. If you don't have that page loaded, either fully loaded or at least to a point where the mobile user can be interactive with your website and have that happen in under 3 seconds, they're going to leave. It's called a bounce. So this is critical for a lot of the people checking your page speed to see, are mobile devices able to get to your pages? Don't just do one, do all of them. Each page that's more than 3 seconds, chances are you're not going to have mobile device users there. And also the chances are that Google is not going to allow that page that doesn't meet that 3 seconds or less to appear in mobile searches. Now, I'm going to back up so that people can ask questions on that much so far, because that was a lot to throw out. I see people in the chat. So if you have a question, anything, throw up your hand so I can see that.
He's using WP Rocket for his site.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's helping this speed up the page.
Oh yeah.
I haven't had a chance to look at any of the code, so I'm glad you have.
Yeah, he's, I mean, WP Rocket works great. The other thing, he's not using any animation. The only thing he has in there is the slider. So I mean, the site's doing great. He doesn't have any on his other pages. He's scoring 98.
That's pretty good. That's very nice.
Yeah.
So it's the home page.
Yeah, WP Rocket's a great plugin. It really is. But on some sites that use a lot of animation, it's still it's like all the rest. It's still tough.
Yes. So Josiah, you've done some very good work, especially on a new site. You've been listening to somebody who has taught you how to be able to get this stuff done. Because so many people, even developers, have a really difficult time trying to figure out how to get any kind of page speed. Josiah, come on line for just a second, if you can. Or are you still driving? There he is. Got to ask you to unmute, and then there you go. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've just been doing a lot of Google searches on how to make the site faster. When we first published it, it was terrible. I would wait for 12 seconds for it to load even on a desktop. So by making some simple changes like adding WP Rocket and like optimizing some of the images and things, it really made a big difference.
Well, you did your homework. That's absolutely correct. I'm going to open it in Firefox over here, so because I want to take a look at some things. Your images.
And I think I still have some large images that I recently uploaded that I have not optimized, but for the most part. But I think what I have not done is I think you can get it to load faster or something by making it like next gen imagery. I haven't done that.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, you're working on that, and I can see that the image in the background, in the slider, that is a PNG, you more than likely will save some size and weight by changing it to a WebP. It's also scaled just slightly smaller than the size of the image that you have in there. Even shaving a little bit off of there, that's going to save some more time as well. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I understand what a WebP file is. How to actually do it is another thing, but that's what I was thinking about for the images, is converting it to WebP so that it would load faster.
Well, you can use Imagify, another plugin.
I tried that, but my hosting provider said that I can't. Well, I can't do it according to what I understand because I guess they need a different PHP. We're using PHP 4.4, and my hosting provider said that they can't do it because I don't know. It's a limitation on their end. So I can either move all the hosting, or I can roll it back to PHP 4.3 to use Imagify and Imagify.
Yeah, Imagify, yeah. Who's the hosting?
It's called iPage. It's a company that nobody has ever heard of, and I don't know how I got hosted on there, but it was like 5 or 6 years ago, and I just have never changed. I wouldn't be opposed to changing, so if you guys have a better option, I just have never done it.
Sorry, I had to deal with. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's strange that they wouldn't. They're saying that the plugin is not compatible with your server.
It's a limitation of the server, yeah. And I guess because we were using PHP, I think it was 4.4, and Imagify is compatible with 4.4, but you need to install a specific module. What was the name of that module? There's a specific module that they have to install, and they said that they cannot install it because of a limitation on their servers. If I can find it, I'll shoot it in the chat.
Where are you hosted?
The hosting is with a company called iPage.
What's the name?
iHopes.
iHopes?
It's iPage.
Oh, iPage. iPage. Never heard of them.
I know, nobody has. Every time I talk to somebody, everyone's like, I don't know who that company is.
Hmm.
So, but like I said, if you guys have a better option for me, I don't mind looking at something different, but that's just what I have today.
A2 or Green Geeks? Those are the only two that we ever discuss.
Which ones?
A2 Hosting or Green Geeks.
Okay.
And either of those are very good companies. Now, I'm sure that there might be somebody else out there, but many years as I've been around, I can't find anybody better.
I'll write it down for sure.
Yeah. The only thing that's better, in my opinion, is cloud hosting. And with cloud hosting, you got to know a bit about coding on some of them. So, yeah, I mean, if you go to Green Geeks or A2, they have Lightspeed servers, and right now those are better than anything that I've seen out there.
Do you guys? I know you said that you're for hire as well. So do you guys do like website migrations and hosting migrations if I needed it?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
And both Green Geeks, both Green Geeks and A2, if you're migrating to them, they do it for free.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, if you buy a hosting package, yeah, no migration for it. Are you running a cPanel or is it just?
You're now talking over my head. I was barely able to put this stuff together, and I did not do it on like my own. I had a company help me.
Okay.
Well, we won't talk about that anymore, but I think you're on the right road anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks a lot. My next step is to kind of work on like other, like now that the page speed is a lot better, is to work on other SEO, tips to drive more organic traffic. Someone earlier in the chat had asked, do I get a lot of traffic to that website? And the answer is no. We're not a customer and end user facing company up until very recently, which is why we have a website now. And so, no, we don't get a lot of traffic right now.
So it's a new site. I wouldn't imagine that you would have much.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's a fairly new site.
Yeah, we only rolled it out. I think we published it in it was like April or May. No, I want to say maybe May or June. May or June.
Yeah, you haven't had a chance to really get traffic yet, but
Mm-hmm.
you will. I mean, with the site, as long as your content's optimized for SEO and stuff, you will.
Yeah. It'll
Thanks a
come.
lot, guys. I appreciate that.
Christian, you've had your hand up for a while. Go ahead. Oh, I guess I got to make sure that ask you to unmute.
That helps, Tom.
Sorry. Too many things going on this morning.
I was late, so I was wondering, are we going to do this for everybody, or are we just focusing on one person today? Or?
It wasn't even a focus on anybody in specific. It was just a matter of, if we're going to start by, we'll just grab somebody's website and show you how to go through some of the basics of Lighthouse, so that everybody has the ability and the knowledge to be able to open Lighthouse and see for themselves what's their page doing, what's their website doing on any one of the pages. Does that make sense, Christian?
It does. I have my website through Simple Site.
It's a simple site? Okay.
Yes. Have you heard of them?
No,
I haven't.
I'm trying to, I think that you put in your domain. Nope, that wasn't you.
I can.
Nope, that was somebody else. Sorry, I was just seeing that somebody else wanted to do their site, but it wasn't a matter of let's do a bunch of sites. It was just, I want to show you how to be able to pull up Lighthouse, because Lighthouse is critical in looking at your site. You saw the numbers that we had, and I'll reshare that screen with you since I still have it up. In looking at the numbers in Lighthouse, you're able to see what's your page doing. And to give you an example, most pages will come up with almost all of these orange or yellow or even in the red. You can just pick one and come up, and it just looks terrible because all the numbers are down in the 30s, maybe even into the 20s. When you see that, you know that you've got problems. So pick performance, and because it's just the first one, and start going through some of the information to see, okay, I got a problem. Where are these problems? Now, I want to answer Nate's question first, then I'm going to go into more detail about what you're going to do with this information. Is that okay, Christian? Okay. Nate, go ahead and unmute.
So I see, like with the page speed, but can you show me like a before and after, like what you've seen in the way of results, search engine results, like traffic increased, your ranking increased, something increased from making the site faster?
You won't see that kind of information in Lighthouse. I mean,
You won't see it in Lighthouse. Yeah, I get that. But as far as your analytics, you guys, I'm sure you're trying to keep track of all the people coming in, because obviously the goal of marketing, right, is to convert. So if we get people coming to the site and the site's fast, that's great. But we need to make sure we're converting them. So you're tracking the conversion, right? So are you seeing more people coming to the site because of this? Can we look at the analytics results that you get from this?
You can, but it would be an individual thing. In other
Yeah,
words,
yeah, I get that. I want to see your analytic results from you doing this, is what I'm getting at. I
from
don't like your, you guys use what's that, MOZ or
Moz,
Rush or whatever that is to keep track of your results. I want to see how your results have increased from this, would be my.
well, that would mean we need to do a before and after. So we haven't, we
haven't
don't,
done that.
we haven't done a situation of before and after.
But I don't, oh, so you're saying that this is needed, but yet you don't have results to show before and after.
Correct. Nate, hang on a second. What we're doing is allowing people to be able to see, just like you, for your website, we would do the same thing. I don't know what your analytics are before, but I can show you what you need to see so that you will be able to look at your analytics and see, okay, here's where it is now. That's your mark for before. Now you're moving forward. Has anything changed? There isn't any way for us to be able to look and see this person's website, what it was doing before he's got it into the 90s.
I guess I'm asking about your website, not
Mine in particular?
or yeah, whatever you're using for an example. Yeah, your website would be great. Yes, there we go.
Well, the example is here with this one. And what I'm getting to is that, and you're right that you do want to know that information, but what we're trying to do is just show the people how they can look at their performance information. Then yes, you would also want to look at your analytics to see what happened, what was going on before.
Okay. Well,
And pretty much everybody knows that because they know that it's dragging. I'm not getting any traffic. And we have had people who've come back in and said, hey, we did this and this and this, and my traffic is definitely increasing. Matter of fact, Barbara, who's been with us several times, said that for a 3-month period, her traffic increased by 12% by following one of the things that we suggested to her.
Okay, yeah, because I just did, for example, just a generic search for Plummer Irvine, like Irvine, California, it's a big, huge city. I'm sure you've heard it's where Disney.
Yeah, I know Irvine. Used to live down there.
So the top site that comes up for that is some site that only ranks 23 as far as performances, but they're ranking top. So well, I guess what I'm getting at is there has to be something more important in this performance because they're ranking number 1 in a very high KD area. So and we understand what KD means, right? Keyword difficulty. So that keyword difficulty is so expensive.
I'm
sure if we check the top 5 in that area, I'm sure we would see most of them don't have this. So there's got to be something that you're missing, right?
Depends on what you're talking about. I mean, you're covering several different things here. I mean, people on page 1 are, they could be doing AdWords.
No, we're not talking about paid ads at the very top. I'm talking about the organic listings. That's really what I'm concerned with because paid ads is irrelevant to this too, right? So I'm just going to pay and they're going to go to the site, correct?
Yes, but the other thing that you're looking at is you're searching with a desktop, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you have no idea whether that site comes up where on a mobile device.
I have my mobile phone, right? Like we could do.
Go ahead, search.
Like I can do it on my mobile phone is right next to me. I'm positive, I'll do it right now. Irvine Plummer.
I'm not quite sure what he's asking. I mean,
you guys want to help people get to the top, right?
Mm-hmm. Keep going. I know what I'm doing. I mean, I know what I've asked you to do, so I'm just waiting for your response.
I'm sorry, say it again.
When you do the search on your phone, I want to see what the results are.
Okay. What do I type in here? Irvine. Plummer Irvine? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the paid ads come up at the top. And maybe that's because I don't even see it here on my desktop anymore.
So you're searching locally, so your results are going to be different than if you're searching without adding to Irvine, California.
Yeah, because like I'm assuming most people here want to rank at the top. I can give you an example on.
Nate, what we're talking about is trying to get down to apples and apples. So far, we're talking apples and horses. So what I'm trying to do is
Here's
say,
an example. I'll give you this. This is an example that I know personally. Is you could type in internet marketing Marietta.
That's local search.
Correct. Because hey, I'm assuming you guys want to help out local customers, right? That's the main. That's the main thing we're.
Nate,
trying to
what's
help
your
out,
what's
like
your
plumbers.
The local search is different than the search and when you're talking about page speed.
Well, if I
Local
do
search
internet
is-
marketing, if I do internet marketing Marietta, I personally show up number 2.
That's because you're probably in the 3-pack.
No, I'm talking organic. I show up number 2 for the 3-pack as well, but I show up number 2 organically too.
That's because you're adding the location.
Yeah, well, exactly, like plumber, because I try to help out plumbers. I try to help
Right.
out
what's your website address?
ROI strategic marketing, second one.
You're number 2 in mine. You said you're number 1.
Exactly. That's exactly
Okay.
what I said. I come up number 2 in the 3-pack and number 2 organic.
Okay.
Now, if I do a page speed, I don't even know what my page speed is. Let's see. Inspect. Console. You said go to Lighthouse. It's analyzed. Oh, yeah, we're doing the same thing.
How long have you had this domain?
Just a couple months. 3 months, maybe. You know, but I've done other things. Yeah, see, I'm only at 52.
Mhm.
I'm ranking number 2. And that has been number 1 in the
Okay,
past,
but you're
I
talking
haven't
two
seen
different
number 2
things. Nate, you got to stop for a second.
yet. Okay, good.
52 is for a mobile device. We are not looking at your website on a mobile device. We're looking at it on a desktop. So what position that you achieved in your desktop is different than it is for a mobile device. That's why we talk about mobile page speed so much.
No, I just typed it on my phone. I showed number 2 on my mobile device. The exact same results. I have my phone
Okay.
in my hand.
I have to add something here.
Go ahead.
You're adding a location called Marietta.
Yeah.
Now, search the term internet marketing and see where you show up.
Oh, I'm sure I won't show because I can't target
Exactly.
like a plumber, like, so if I type in a plumber, for example, or if I type in a roofer, if I type in an AC guy, you know how hard it is to rank an AC guy at the top organically, but now you put a trailer on it, like the city, because that's what I'm going to search for. Like, if I need a plumber here in my town,
That's because that's local SEO.
yes. So how does yours help local plumbers, local air conditioner guys? Like, you know, like show me your site how it ranks for what do you guys, web design? Is that what you guys specialize in for your town?
Yeah, I show up on page 1. So
What
that's because it's local search.
what town? Oh, what town is that?
Currently, I'm in Okeechobee, but local. See, you're talking about two different things.
What are the two things?
You're talking about local search and you're talking about your internet marketing. If you search internet marketing, you're not going to show up on page 1.
Well, you know, if you do water damage in Marietta, this is a site I did for a customer.
Leave out the location.
Or if you do, let's see here, copier lease is another site I did for a customer, COPER lease, because he does copier leases. Marietta, I got them to rank number 1 in the 3-pack and number 1 in the natural listings. And I don't think their speed is 90 or whatever. Like, you can tell mine is 33. I'm looking at it right now.
There's a lot of things that have to do with page rank.
That's what people are here for, though, right? Or no? Am I wrong?
Nate, you're trying to oversimplify it, and that's what we're trying to get across to you. You can't oversimplify this. We got to start at some basics, and what you're doing is getting so far into specifics that we've already lost a lot of our audience. We want to get back into, here are the tools. This is one tool in specific that you really need to use. How to use that tool. What's it mean to you?
Well,
Now you need to stop, Nate. Stop.
Lazy load images and stuff like that, which I need help with. So if you tell me how to lazy load images, because I'm not good at that stuff.
Okay, any other question, Nate?
Well, yeah, the lazy load images, stuff like that, because I know that would help.
Yeah,
me.
we're working on Lighthouse today. Lighthouse, showing people how to use Lighthouse.
So you're not helping people.
We're not getting into any of the other specifics that you want to get into, just showing them how to use Lighthouse.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Timothy, go ahead. I'm going to have to help you unmute there. Go ahead.
Thanks. There you go. Now hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
So yeah, I did this Lighthouse performance ranking, and I came up. Mine said it was 48.
Mm-hmm.
And however, when I go to my mobile device and pull up my website, it loads in like 1 second.
You've been there
So
before.
how is that ranking really relevant at all? Really?
The ranking numbers are not what we're looking at in
Oh,
Lighthouse.
performance. Okay, I said the wrong word. Is that performance number even relative?
Yes, performance is related to how fast the actual page loads.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And my
So-
page loaded, even though I'm a 48, it loads in like 1 second on my mobile device.
Okay. I can see that there are enough people. I'm going to grab my phone.
Yeah, my
Because
my
it's never
website-
been to your
I
site.
just put it in the chat.
When people are going to a website and they've never been there before, they don't have any cookies, they don't have any cache, they don't have anything related to your website. So the first time that they go there, that's the true indicator of whether or not a mobile device is going to be able to get in there. If you have been with your mobile device to whatever site, whether it's yours or anything else, that mobile device has got some cache, so it's going to load faster than it would have been if it had never been there before. And when we're using Lighthouse, Lighthouse is showing you the speed and many other bits of information based on never having been to that website. Does that make sense? Timothy? Okay,
We losing?
I guess. I'm not sure what happened. But for everybody who's in the meeting here, we want to, oh, you're waving, but you lost it. What happened to your sound? Try it again.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I wasn't. I muted for a second, and then it wouldn't let me unmute.
That's
So
weird.
Now you're saying the performance issue is if I had no cache, no cookies, no nothing, going to it for the first time, and if I'm ranking or if my performance is at 48, you're saying it's going to take way too long for it to load. People won't even go there, and they'll just move on to the next one. Is what you're saying?
It's part of it.
Part,
It's
yeah.
not, it does not specifically stop you from getting on search. It's all relative. It's all relative to your on-site SEO, your local SEO, your keywords. I mean, everything. It is part of an algorithm. You know, I mean, the page speed alone is not going to reflect on whether you're found in the searches or not. So
Okay.
there's a lot of different things involved.
Well, thanks for clarifying.
It's an important factor, and it's one that you need to address. But just because it's slow, if you've got a lot of other things going on that are doing really well, then there's a good chance that you will still appear in a mobile search. But Google, I'm pretty sure, is still addressing which sites are going to be shown for mobile devices in their searches. Usually, if there is a slow site, it doesn't appear, at least on page 1, for mobile devices. So you can get a difference.
Yeah, if you got a 10-year-old site and it is just loaded with top quality content, the page speed is not going to reflect on whether you get found on page 1 or not, because Google is going to like what your page do. Now, if your page takes 20 seconds to load, probably not. They're not going to let you, you're going to have to do some improvement. So the page speed, and what I see on your site, you're at 63, And your site is, it's doing good on the result. And you got a speed index of 3.1. Your first contentful page is 2.6. What you're seeing on mobile as loading in 1 second isn't actually 1 second, because it takes a lot longer for other things to load on that page. And what you're seeing immediately is the hero section is called. So in the meantime, on the background, there's other things loading on the site.
Does that make sense, Timothy? Okay. Okay. So, other questions on that part so far? Anybody have any other questions? I know that we kind of got off on a tangent, but the bottom line is using Lighthouse to see what your website is doing is important. Maury just said something in chat that makes a lot of sense. And SEO is like baking a cake. It has many ingredients. And that's why I've been telling people at the beginning of the meetings, mostly for the last several months, SEO is an experiment. Just because that you have one thing done doesn't mean everything else is going to be correct. But there's a good chance that if you do it right, then yeah, you don't have to worry about anything. Bonnie's asking, is Lighthouse free? Yes. You don't have to install anything. I didn't install, I have to think back. I don't believe I installed Lighthouse in Chrome. I did for Firefox. It's got there's a nice add-on for Firefox, and it works similar to Incognito, because when you do it in Firefox, it actually goes over to GitHub to run the process instead of running it right in Firefox. And yes, Christian, you're a novice too, and that's the whole point. We want to keep it simple enough for the novice to be able to get this information. So when you hear people who've been in the business, especially in marketing and development, website development, you'll hear a lot of technical information coming out of them. And I tried, just as you heard me to a couple of people, I tried to just bring that back. We don't want to get into the technical side. I want you to stay simple so that you can understand here is a tool that's really well worth it for you to look, understand the basics. If you want to go into all of these points about it, that's fine. But we want you to understand the basics so you can see, I need to work on this or I need to work on that, because those are really important. Any other questions? And then I'll go back and show you some more specifics about Lighthouse. No question? Okay. Let's see. Let's go back over here, one that we were looking at, and we're going to look at the fact that this one's got a 52 for performance. So it's going to show you in detail how much time it takes to load on a mobile device. Well, that 8.5 seconds is really what you're looking for. But it would definitely, it's showing that a mobile device is going to have a difficult time waiting, because you'd be somewhere in the neighborhood of 11, 12 seconds before everything is loaded. Even Google says if it's more than 3 seconds for a mobile device, they don't want to show those results in the searches. So that's why we say they're probably not going to show your website if it's in that 50% range to mobile searches. But that doesn't mean it won't be. Just means that that is something you really need to address. And in this particular site, it's saying reduce the unused JavaScript. You don't have to know what JavaScript is. You just need to know, okay, there's stuff that needs to be thrown away. That's when you go, okay, I can now talk to my developer and say, look, I know that these things need to be done. So do those things, and let's work on that part first, which this is just performance. So if you're getting rid of the unused JavaScript, images. Use next-gen images. So it's pretty specific about what is causing any slowdown. This is a PNG. It's a big PNG. You could save at least 38 kilobytes. You don't need to know what a kilobyte is. It just means speed. Every time that you have a certain amount of kilobytes, 49, 89, 238 that you'd be saving. So that's quite a bit. 1.4 seconds is the total that you would save if these images were in next-gen format. Seconds mean a lot. So don't just say, okay, well, 1.4 seconds, forget it. Think about all of it and eliminate render blocking resources. Again, that's going to be something you go to your developer because you're going to go, I have no idea what this means, but there's something. The others are in the yellow. Unused CSS, that's pretty simple. Your developer can do that also. Remove anything that's not being used in the site. Don't just leave it sit there, because it will pull it down in the speed. Third-party cookies, or third-party code, excuse me. So there's some JavaScript, there's some other things there. So when it gets down into the specifics, get a hold of your developer, whoever you've had that's working on your site, and say, I'm seeing problems. Here are the problems. And if your developer doesn't know how to use Lighthouse and understand it, you need a new developer. But if you come to the developer and say, listen, I see that there are some issues with my site and they need to be fixed, that's what you need to do. And the developer should just be able to say, yep, I do see those. Okay, let's work on those. So if they're not sure, they don't know how to fix things, it's time to find somebody else. The accessibility has to do with the sight impaired. That's pretty important to Google. Background and foreground colors do not have contrast. So it's a matter of looking at things and going, where is it not have enough contrast? And this shows you, gives you a small image of in this spot, this spot, this spot. Those things are not contrasted enough in color for the sight impaired to be able to see easily. Discernible name, heading elements, not in sequential order. That is something that, you can give or take on that. Generally speaking, you have heading tags that begin with H1 is the largest and the most important thing on the page. And it goes down to the least important, which is H6, and the smallest as far as text size. Generally speaking, they're going, yeah, maybe you should put those in order. You're not going to get huge points off if you don't have them in order. So the next biggest one is issues that are logged. SEO links do not have descriptive text, so you want to make sure that you have the descriptive text around them. I mean, I can go through each one of these things, but it's a matter of go through, because they do provide a lot of information that you can understand pretty easily. If it's giving you something that I don't know what that thing is, that's when you take it to your developer and say, okay, we need to fix this. And let me see. Christian's asking, when I Google my name, my website's supposed to show? Boy, that's a difficult question. Technically, if you put in your website URL without the .com or net or whatever it is, yes, that should come up. You should see it in there. If it's not, you'd have to think, well, for whatever reason, Google hasn't indexed that page. To find out if you have pages indexed, go look at your Google Analytics. The Google Analytics are going to tell you, which is kind of where we started in the beginning of this meeting, tell you how the site is performing specifically, and page by page for that matter. So you're going to see what your traffic is, what your bounce rate is, but they don't call that bounce rate anymore. It's a matter of how much time on the page. All that information is good information for the site owner to have. And if the site owner doesn't know enough about that information, that's where you hand it to the developer and you discuss it with the developer. Don't just push it and say, go fix all this stuff, because you need to understand what is most important. Don't have the developer working on something that really doesn't mean something. I would err on the side of, as far as Christian, if you don't see your site in the searches, chances are it hasn't been indexed. So in your analytics, go and look to see what pages have been indexed. And your analytics are going to show you that. Trying to see, I think some people are having images issues, but I'll leave that. And Josiah, you having trouble on my site, Josiah? Let's see. For anybody who needs to register, I got to move this bar around is the problem I'm having. So your registration is here. Quest can't be found. So I'll go in and fix that. Fix it as soon as the meeting's over, Josiah. Simple enough. Okay. Any other questions? And okay,
Vic
no.
He has a Squarespace website, and he was asking, his site is slow because, I mean, it's Squarespace, and there isn't a lot of optimization you can do for that, but his photographs are important to him, and he doesn't want to reduce the quality of them. So what I was suggesting to him is just go to a photo hosting site like Flickr and hosting the images there, and then you can actually embed the link on the Squarespace site and still have the quality, and you won't be dragging down the page speed.
Something that I didn't hear you guys discussing, Vic, in specific. Let's say that you have a photography site. Is that correct? Okay. So you would bet you would. I can unmute you if you want. If you just uploaded a bunch of pictures, let's say that they're 300 DPI. How much of that quality do you think that you can see of that 300 DPI in your browser? You need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself, Vic. There you go.
Yep.
What sort of quality do you think that you can see of that 300 DPI in your browser?
Well, I mean, the quality itself is dropped. I mean, you can see that it's blotchy on the website itself. You can't really see much on when you pull it up on mobile, but when I'm opening it up on my browser, I can see that it is completely, there's a lot of issues with it. And yes, some of the files that I do have online right now are a little bit older. So if I try to condense them down, change it to like PNG or whatever, it still has, it makes the file just not presentable on the website. So I just basically have to go back in and just change all my pictures and images and load time. Right now my performance is, I think, somewhere around 52, I believe, but I tried to minimize it as much as possible, and it's still It's the images. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Before I was trying to do GIFs to bring, change it up so that it makes it look presentable, but even that has not helped either. So just trying different things out.
For everybody, especially you, Vic, because we've had several photographers, and this is something, it's a bone of contention, and I can't blame the photographer, but there's nothing you can do about it because browsers are only capable of showing you 72 DPI. So you can have a 300 DPI picture in there, but you're still only going to see 72 DPI. So if you upload a 72 DPI from your 300 DPI, you still see 72 DPI.
Done is I've actually tried to change everything to 72 DPI, and it looks even worse than what it was before.
Oh, sure it does. I'm not going to argue that point at all. A 300 DPI is a nice, clear image, but guess what? The best you can get, the best you're going to see on the internet is 72 DPI. Okay. So it's one of those where what I usually try to tell people, especially the photographers, if you've got a really nice looking image that you want people to be able to pop up and see, even a pop-up is still going to show you that. But if you're allowing them to download it, you can say this is a 300 DPI, or if it's higher, say whatever it is, this is a 300 DPI image when you download it.
Well,
but
I'm not having them download any files from my website. There's another site that I use, which is Pixie Set, where I get all my clients to just download all the files, and they're at a higher quality level as well as DPIs. So they get the product that they want. The main thing is that I'm getting clients on a daily basis to come to my site so that the page load needs to be a little bit more easier. I'm using QR codes to where they can access all the main pages that I need. Trying to do the Google SEO, the Google My Profile business.
Yes.
Indexing each page as I go along, and it is showing up more organically, which is fine. But the load is just harder. Like when I'm trying to just have them search my name and then pull it up on their phone, mobile, right there in front of me, it's like, that 10 seconds, that 20 seconds just kills that moment that I have with them. It's like, I'm losing that, like, okay, well, site's slow. So, okay, well, never mind. We'll try somewhere else.
Now there's another thing. Go ahead.
I would take the images off the homepage.
Okay.
And put them on another page, so that way you can send people to your site, and your website will load like that. Then take them to a page to where the photos are.
Arthur and I are on the same page. Yep. I was going to suggest just putting small thumbnails, and you're going to link to where you want to show them that full-size image. Whether it's that site where they can actually get the 300 DPI or to another page of your site. But getting to the home page, just keep the thumbnails there. So that way, you're going to increase your speed. I don't know what it is now. You said it's bad.
Yeah,
what's the site?
50, and they use that like let's see,
like 51.6
seconds.
Vic, I think you put it in the chat earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, the performance was a little slow. It was like 10 seconds for load time. The content path was right around there. 15 to 20 was the load time, whatever. So I brought it down. It was considerably higher. So it has come down, but it's still not where it needs to be in the higher level. And so yeah, I'll try the other method of where it links back and trying to put thumbnails. I may have to just change the site more, but there's not a whole lot of things that, as a photographer, like what I can put on my front page. So,
well, when Thomas is saying you can take those and put the thumbnails on, and I believe with Squarespace it has a Lighthouse. So when they click on the thumbnail, the light box will pop up with the full resolution of the image.
Yeah.
I know with WordPress, it does. And with WordPress on the light box, you can also expand the image into full page.
And I've tried that, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but or the clients that are coming to the site, but when they do come, it seems to be a little bit harder for them to maneuver around it. I mean, my clientele may be just not as tech savvy as we are, so we know we can get around the sites no problem. But it's the fact that when they look at it on their phones or their devices or whatever, they're just not tech savvy enough. So that's why I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. So
Yeah, all they'd have to do is tap the image. Once
I
it
know.
shows up, and if it opens up to a light box, then
correct. And that's I've tried that in the past. It just didn't. I just didn't want them doing anything interactive on that front page, to where it keeps them away from all the other pages that I've created. So that was my first intention, and it works so far. I'm getting more people coming to the other pages, but organically, I want them to search it, and the other things that I've done has made it work to where people are coming organically from Google and whatever. But it's the load time is what I need to fix. So I'm gonna try the Flickr method also, and see if I can try to fix all of those issues, and just try to keep it as minimum as possible.
yeah, because the Flickr, I mean, all it is you're embedding a link.
Yeah.
You're not actually hosting the image, you know.
Okay.
And plus, Flickr is really powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an account. I'm an artist, and I have stuff up on there from years ago.
Right.
And you know, that's what I had to do with one of my websites.
Yeah. And like what Tom's doing right now is trying to find the size of the images and trying to, and I've been trying my best to bring it low as possible, but I keep losing things. So I'm going to try the second option, which is put it on my website and host it there, and then try to just bring people into the website itself and just load the links, and then try Flickr itself. So
utilizing Google Business Profile, you know,
that has helped a tremendous a lot, so
it's great. I mean, I know, there's clients of mine that are using it, and we have seen it here on these meetings of people who are utilizing it and having really good results with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vic,
sounds good.
Vic, I've got more for you, because I'm looking
Yes.
at the sizes of the image.
Yes.
And I obviously the images that are in the slider that's going across in the header, those are wide. They're big pictures, but there are a bunch of pictures that are original size is in the site at 1500 by 438, but it's scaled to a 281 by 82.
Yeah, I noticed that right now too.
So you need to go through and see where these images are that are much larger than they should be for wherever you have them placed. In the header, it's different. I do see that you could reduce some of them. Look, this one is 2048 by 1366, and it's scaled to 1903 by 927. And that's the first one that pops up with all the people in the wedding party.
Okay.
So
yeah, the main issue is that some of the files are just a little bit older, and they've been archived, so I got to go back and just change it all out. And so some of them are brand new. So if they're higher resolution or bigger sizes, then they're more recent. If they're slightly smaller, then they've been scaled down a long time ago, or they weren't exported out the right size. And so that's the other issue too. So, but yeah, I will have to go back in and just revamp all of those things. I appreciate it.
Take a really close look at all the images, where they are, and any images that are not being used, get them out of the site.
Okay, will do. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And that's for everybody too. All the people who are still here, you need to make sure that your images in your website are not larger than what is supposed to be displayed. So if you've got an image that, let's just say it's 200 by 200 is how big that you want that displayed. And 200 is not that big. But you used a 1500 or 2000 pixel wide by 1500 pixel tall image to fill this 200 by 200. That's wrong, because the browser is going to take longer to have to load. The browser has to look, say, oh, that's only 250 and this thing is this size, so I now have to reduce this image before I can display it. That's part of a slowdown for why people in either a desktop, if it's a huge picture, you might sometimes see, boy, that picture took a while before it popped up, and that's why. And a mobile device, it's even worse. So the mobile device is looking for a small image and expecting just a little bit larger image, but they have to wait for this huge one to load completely before they get this little one. So make sure that your images are the size that they're supposed to be in display. Whatever display size that you want, that's the size you upload. Don't upload a 2000 by something, a huge image, and expect that the system is going to reduce it. It does for you visually, but it causes a huge slowdown in the browser.
That's one of the problems with Squarespace. WordPress will create 4 different versions of a large image. Squarespace does not. Squarespace basically doesn't have a media library. So every page that you want to load that image on, you have to re-upload it every time. I wish Squarespace would create a media library, but unfortunately they don't do that. So they have to create the size of each image the way it's supposed to be in the viewport.
Covered a lot more ground than we anticipated today, but I think that we covered it well. Any other questions from anybody before we go? Did we inundate you with enough details yet? And is Josiah here? Did he already gone? He's already gone. Oh, no, he's still here. I'm in there right now, so I'll get to that. But I can say I want to thank you guys for showing up today. And if you have any other questions, the meeting is recorded, not via Zoom, but it is recorded, so I will have that. It's actually already in YouTube at this point because I stream to YouTube when we do these meetings now. So there you go, Goomba, it's all ready for you. Any other questions before we go? Okay, and if you need to get in touch with us, just go connect. We're all over the place in Alignable, so you can easily find us. That said, no more. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Who did?
Bonnie, I think Bonnie had a question.
Bonnie, do you have a question? Were you're muted, Bonnie?
No, if you have a website address, a URL address.
For my website?
Yeah.
I put it in the chat for you. Did you not get that?
No, I don't see it. Where is
Yeah, at
it?
11:58.
It's up there.
11:58. There you go. You have to scroll up in your chat a little bit. And while you're looking at that, Alan Cook, you had a question. Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, hi everybody. Just want to know where do I find the recording on YouTube?
Oh, SEO Tom.
Okay, SEO Tom.
That's the channel.
Okay, SEO Tom. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That was simple enough. Well, there you go, folks. That's it. That's all we have for today. So I'll see you next week. Thank you for joining. Bye, Vic. Bye, all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm going to fix that issue here. What's wrong with register? Okay, everybody gone? Or are you still here? Juan Gonzalez. Are you still with us, Juan? Nate? Not here? Put him in the waiting room. And we'll put Juan in the waiting room. And there you go. I was about ready to come through the camera today. Aren't you proud of me that I didn't start screaming and yelling?
Marketers, man. They give you
God dang it. It's like, no, no, no. It's got to do it our way. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It's like, what are you talking about?
He was looking for evidence. He wanted to see actual proof that this is what it looks like before you optimize the site. This is what the traffic is afterward. You know, and it's, you know, he's looking for documentation. He was a troll, is what he is.
Yes, that's what I found. And it's like, God
He
dang
sounded
it.
like he was wired on crack or something, man. And it was, I mean, good Lord, you know. And he was even starting to piss me off.
I gotta tell you, it just was.
You know, he's trying to use direct search as a means, or local search. You know, it's a totally different ballgame. You know, I mean, when you use the local search, you do your local SEO right. Page speed has nothing to do with it. You know, because if you do your local SEO with your citations and listings and everything else, it's listing you as a business. It has nothing to do with page speed. You know, and that's what he kept referring to. Marietta this, Marietta that. Of course, if you're doing local SEO, it's almost the same as doing a direct search. You know, and he was not giving us room. You know, I was about ready to boot him.
I was
real close.
He and Nate both, I was at that same point. I go, you know what? Do I leave him or I throw him out? I finally just shut him off. Never mind. I'll move on.
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah, he was just disrupting everything. And I thought, God dang it. Would you be quiet and go away?
People just started dropping off. You know, I mean, they just started leaving. You know?
Yes.
It was all about him. You know, I want to see this. I want to see proof. And all marketers are that way.
Yes, I have definitely found that. Every one of them that comes into our meetings, it's like, oh, prove this, prove that.
Yep.
You're not right.
Yep. Yeah, they think it's all about, you know, they don't know the technical side. You know, and
they don't know it and they don't want to know it because they feel like they don't need to know it. I think that my registration forms.
Are you done spitting on my tool? I think you need to unmute Maury.
Don't you have that capability? You're supposed to be able to. Where did my, oops, there it goes. What the heck? Come on. Oh, because I got here.
Direct messaging me. He's like, he's done spitting on me too.
Stop spitting.
I'm a marketing guy, so I was sitting here laughing.
You're not the kind of marketing guy that this guy is.
No, it's like dang. Why didn't you step in and let the guy have it?
Let's give you guys credit though. The entertainment level was 10/10, man. I was freaking laughing my ass off.
I was actually surprised that he did appear in the mobile searches. So there's obviously some other things going on that we can't see.
Keep in mind though, he's searching locally, and if he's a 58 and everyone's a 57 or lower, of course he's going to show. You don't know what his competition's at.
Well,
Yeah,
that's true, but it wasn't supposed to be competition. Everything that I've read is if you don't reach this, if you're not somewhere in the 80s, then you're not going to be shown to the mobile devices. But
Google has to show somebody, and if there's nobody,
there you go. That's true. I didn't think about that
they're
one.
going to show somebody.
Yeah.
Right? So if he's the best they have, he gets shown.
Yeah.
Right.
What
Never
you
thought
don't
about
know is
that.
if it's- I say if it's
Where were you in this discussion? Why weren't you in this meeting?
Because you guys won't give me the power to use it.
Raise your freaking hand.
So I mean, his whole argument was so flawed. I'm just like, buddy. Not to mention he zeroed in on one aspect, going,
Yes.
yeah, but if my speed is good, then my page should rank better. Well,
Yeah.
that's one factor out of 1,000.
Yeah.
That's not going to guarantee
Yeah.
you anything. That's why I use the recipe analogy, right? I mean, it's like baking a cake. There's so many pieces to SEO. You can't say that, oh, my page speed's going to make you rank one. Well, it's one factor that will help, but it's not the only factor to SEO.
Yeah.
And
That's
these
right.
guys just blow my mind.
Yeah, it's what I think it was Vic, I was telling that too. It's just a small part of it.
If it was that easy, wouldn't everybody just zip up their page speed and we'd all be on page one?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Well, you would have. It would have been good if you had come in and lowered the boom on them and said everything that you just did. Coming from us, a lot of times they just want to continue to argue, but now it's coming from somebody who's already in that same boat.
Yeah.
And telling them to just shut up.
Well, that's why I was sitting here chuckling, because I'm just like, oh my God, this guy.
You just wanted us to sweat.
That too. But
God dang
you
it.
legitimately call yourself a marketing person and not even understand what you're doing. Like, really?
Right. Yeah.
And that's the amazing part is they do call themselves the marketing people, and they're all like this. They're all, I'm not listening, blah, 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 to any of that. It just has to be my way or the highway. How does that factor in?
Well, they're trying to sell shit. So, I mean, they say, and sadly, many people believe and buy it.
Hey, that guy that you booted, was that troll from?
That's the guy that I did not see him coming in because he's got a new logo. I didn't look at his name, and I saw him in the chat, and I went, not a chance. I'm not even going to let him say a word. And I threw him right out. Yeah, Troy DeCure.
Right away? I didn't see that.
Troy DeCure. That's at the beginning of the meeting when I went silent and I was doing something. I was removing him.
I remember some of his posts on Lighthouse, so I get it.
Yeah, Troy. Yeah.
Well, he went over and posted the only review that I had, the first review that I had in Google, in my profile. Don't hire this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. And he just went off. And I don't have any other reviews to counteract that. So it's like, God dang it.
Comment was, do you get lots of traffic to one stop dot expert? I knew exactly where he was going with that.
Oh, yeah. It was that comment in the chat that I realized. I looked at the name and I went, Troy DeCure, you're out of here. And I was scrambling to try to get over to remove him. I thought, well, people are going to wonder. It was a good thing that you were talking at the time, so I didn't feel like.
How did he get back in? I mean, I thought you.
He was removed, as far as I know, but I never had a response from Alignable when I asked them to remove him. I don't know if he came back in through a different name or what he's doing, but now that you said that, I'm going to take a look and see. I'm going to look at all the names that were in the meeting, and
Yeah, I didn't realize who it was until you told me that you booted him.
What a troll.
Yeah, I mean, he spelled, unless he spelled
TD
his
Marketing.
last name. I
TD
remember
Marketing.
his name.
So I'm going to remove and block him now.
That Nate guy, he's been here before.
Yes.
You know, yeah, I mean,
It's like I gave him another chance is where I was with it.
Yeah.
Well, the other path he was heading down, he was pretty much trying to turn you into a free consultant because he was steering the whole webinar off what the topic was. How do I load images faster or something, right? It's like, well, it's not even the topic for the day. Well, where are we going here?
I know, it's like I almost feel like I want to block all of the people who are into marketing. But there are some of them who are really looking for information. It's like, but that's this guy, you know, the ones that we seem to get in the meetings, they're not into information. They want to come in and just argue everything.
Yeah, I mean, they just want to come in and just bash it,
Yes.
you know, basically, you know, and they don't, you know, many of them just don't understand the technical side, and they're trying to find ways around the technical side and prove the technical side wrong. You know?
Okay, here's where I've got a problem. Nate's not even in our group. So I can't throw him out. And I just said something about that the other day to Alignable. I said, it's not right that if I've got people disrupting my group, I can't throw them out if they're not a member. And I can't block them if they're not a member. Nate and who was the other guy?
Well, how does he even get notified about the webinar if he's not a member of the group? Do they just show it to everybody?
You can find out who's got what where. And I'm sure that this Troy a-hole is still trolling after me. And I would bet that Nate and this other guy are friends with Troy because they're all into marketing. And he has just got it in and he's after me. So he's saying, yeah, let's go and interrupt that meeting. So they find out when I have another meeting. They know that they're every week. So it's a matter of, I think they all three got together and said, let's go in and hammer on him.
Yeah, you could just.
And now he's calling. Hey, can I call you back?
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Can't you check events on your profile to see who's got events?
Well, there are places to find events, yeah, and they made it more prominent in Alignable recently. They just came up with, okay, now we're showing the events in blah, blah, blah.
You can share the link.
And I don't care if you're having events, and I don't care that you're showing what events are coming up. But if I can't stop somebody from coming to an event that I know is a disruptor, I got a problem.
Yeah, the bigger your events get, the harder it is to keep track of who the disruptor is until they start disrupting, right?
Yes.
Too many names to watch.
And that's what happened today.
Yeah. Not to mention, there's so when people have a common name, there could be 10 people with that name.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ban that name, are you banning the other 9 that aren't disruptors? Like, it's challenging.
Christian was asking, well, if I search my name, should my website pop up? Which he has a common name, so you're gonna have many people show up with that name.
Well, like you say, like I put in the comments, I said, unless you pissed off Google. And boy, they don't like it when you piss them off, because then here comes Sandbox for Blacklist. And they've done it to many a company. They'll sandbox when they think you're trying to scam them and they're just testing you. But if they truly believe you're scamming them, bye-bye domain, it's blacklisted, gone. I remember the old days when Russian porn sites, backlinks from them were the big thing. And then when Google brought some logarithm changes in, man, those sites disappeared fast. Those domains are gone.
Yeah, they did.
You'll see those domains come up for sale in domain sales, and you go and check and see if they've been spammed out. Oh my God, so many of those domains that are for sale are so spammed out, they're frightening.
Yeah. How do you check that?
I had a couple of tools I used to use when I was buying more domains. I'd have to go look for them. I'll find them and I'll send you some links.
Yeah.
I mean, the very quick thing is when you go back to Wayback and start looking, and then you'll see the newer the Wayback is, you'll see a start of Chinese language and stuff. Oh, you know they've been spammed out. That's your first clue.
Yeah, you can check the domain authority too, I guess.
Yeah, Well, and then look at the two different numbers. If they're too far apart, that usually means they can spammed out.
Yeah, I seen one the other day that had a 28% spam score.
So there's a few different clues you can look at that. If you see those red flags, it's probably safer to avoid it, just because even if it's not spammed out, it's a risk of your money. There's better buys out there, right?
Yeah.
And right now it's tough to get domains. There's so many domain flippers right now. Oh my God, they get bought up fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mostly buy them because I built out my own PBNs and I use the domains to control my PBN, right? So
Sounds
like
like,
domains do me no good.
sounds like you're talking
And-
dirty.
You know, the way you build your PBNs though, man, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, because they're all pointing to you. Either, you know, it's your blog post that, you know, the blog that you're doing. I mean, from the research I looked at it, the way you're doing it is Google doesn't look down on it.
Well, it's a fine line you walk when you're doing content on a PBN because you're trying to create it to look effective enough that people would actually read it, but you're really writing it for the Google bots. So it's a real fine line to walk that you don't step over the line of too Google related, or they'll go, oh, this guy's gaming me, right?
Yeah.
And if it's two people related, then it doesn't have the keyword functionality you need to be useful for the Google bots. It's actually quite challenging to create useful content for PBNs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got, you know, I did some research on that, you know, and you know, and remembering how you said you have it set up and stuff. And by what I researched on it, there isn't anything wrong. You're right. I mean, there is a fine line there, but
yeah,
you're behind it, you know, doing what you're doing.
Yep.
So.
No, he's black hat all the way.
I thought, man, that's ingenious.
Well, and that's why I buy age domains. I try to buy the highest authority I can, and then I can bleed that authority back up to my money sites linked it, right? And I own all the links because I own all those sites under it, all the two.
Right. That's sweet, man.
And then what you do is, if you get into a heavily competitive keywords, that just means you need to build out a second or maybe even a third blog network and link it back, and you create kind of a pillowing effect, a circle around your money site. And that's how you beat out the other guys, right? It takes a while, it costs some money, but if the keyword's worth a shit pile of money, it's worth it.
Yeah, it is.
It just depends what you're chasing.
Yeah.
If you're doing mostly local, you can blow locals off the map. Price 5 or 6 PBNs to your money site, you beat everybody. When you start getting more national, sometimes it can take 30, 40, 50 separate blog setups, 10 per blog setup, to actually get that keyword to the point where you can compete. It gets expensive, right? Because then you need all those domain names to go with it. It can be a big investment.
Yeah, but when you think about the return on it, man, I mean, geez.
Oh, it is. It takes money to make money. There's no question.
It takes a lot of time.
Well, I actually have other. I don't know. Have you ever seen SEO Autopilot?
I'm sorry, the what?
It's a tool called SEO Autopilot. It's a link
SEO
building tool.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that thing's been around for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have 2 lifetime licenses for it, and I run it on two VPSs, and that's how I slowly send out my linkings from my PBNs to my sites.
I used that thing when I got into affiliate marketing.
Yeah, it's good for stuff like that.
Yeah, I had like 20 sites, all on camping.
Yeah.
So, and I used that. It worked, man. It worked. It did.
It just takes a lot of the tedium out of building out your PBNs and getting the links out there. It does it for you. And you can have everything scheduled, and it does it randomly so it looks more natural. And you can even tie AI into it if you want it to write the blog. But like I say, I find AI, it's okay for writing maybe to an 80% level, but it really, really requires a human eye to go and finish it off.
Oh, yeah, sure.
If you
There's
just try
one,
and put straight AI shit in there, it looks very robotic. It's easy to tell. Google will pick that up in a heartbeat.
well, there's one I've been playing with that, because I'm interested in that. It's called Writer. Have you seen that one yet?
Not writer, no. I use one called Phrase. Frase.io, phrase.io.
I haven't seen that one yet. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with what Writer does.
Well, they're getting better because the people that are creating the tools are getting better at putting information in them, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just at a point in my life right now. I'm just tired of writing blogs,
Oh, no kidding.
blog posts. I mean, I used to do it all the time. And, my art business, and I used to write posts, guest posts and all that stuff. And all the optimization and all that crap. I mean, it takes you to write a 2,000 word, fully optimized for SEO, keyword search, everything, blog post. It takes 6 to 8 hours.
Oh, for sure.
And I just don't. I'm burned out on it. So that's why I'm looking at the AI.
So the other cheating way, I call it cheating, but is you can actually pay real humans on those writer sites to write articles for you, and they range it from $7 to $25 or $30, depending on how long and how complicated the article is. But again, if you're chasing a high enough value keyword that you're trying to keep ranked, the expense is worth it.
Sure.
Right. It's all relative to what you're trying to get, right?
I got a couple people on Fiverr that I use to when I need them, to produce. I think for 10, what was it, 10, 1,500 word blog posts, keyword focus, it was $120.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to do is if you're looking for more cost effective, there's always, always, always starving students that are big into literature and stuff in university and college.
Oh yeah.
And those guys are always looking for work or some way to make money. And they'll work relatively cheap because it's something they can do at home or whatever they want. And it's cash to them, right? You pay them cash, they don't pay taxes. They're always broke. And have you ever seen a student that isn't starving?
Yeah, you're right.
So that's a great source to find people to write for you if you go look in those places. And they're English speaking from US or Canada, right? So they're not going to have that language barrier from being from out of the country. I'm not criticizing those people, but when you're putting stuff on the internet, people notice that stuff, especially the grammar Nazis.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I need to get me someone to write blog posts for me.
Yeah, it's a tedious game and time consuming. I hate writing that stuff.
I just don't have time. I don't have the interest in it. I mean, and it's just all the time it goes into it. And then when you're doing web design, web development or whatever, it's technical shit that nobody's gonna understand but another web developer.
Mhm.
So how many web design websites do you see with content other than ones that have been around like Neil Patel and Ahrefs and these kind of SEMrush, the big guys.
Mhm.
But for somebody who's small, it's rare that you're going to find anybody on page one with certain content. It's always the ones that have been around, it's got the history.
They've got the authority. They've been around forever, right?
Yeah. So when you're a small developer and stuff like that, it's not likely you're going to show up. It has to be some really compelling, and you have to be doing it at least once a week. And I just don't have time for that kind of.
Well, can you imagine trying to blow a site like Microsoft off the map and get above them? Good luck, right?
Oh yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Exactly. Or Apple or somebody like that. Like, there's no freaking way.
Yeah. Yeah. Now my artist site, I can do it on my artist site.
Mhm.
But I am not in that business anymore. So
Well, that's one of the keys to picking niches. If you pick one where you know damn well your competition isn't powerful, like in Microsoft, tech and things, because Apple, Microsoft, forget it, right? If you pick niches that are not so competitive, you can get a lot of traction. Like I feel bad for IT people that are trying to rank their websites. Good luck.
I'm seeing several people who are not in our group that came to this meeting.
Well, Art said you could share links outside of the group now. That would explain why you're getting traffic that's not part of your group. I didn't know you could do that. I thought you had to be a member of the group to see it.
Yeah, when you sign up for an event, you'll write, that little window pops up and it'll ask you to add it to the calendar.
Yeah.
And right there under that button, there's a link.
Really?
Link, yeah.
It tells you how close I look.
Yeah, they just added it.
Okay. Well,
So now you can share the link, and then you can also share the event on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
Also getting, so they're trying to suck more people in from other platforms. That explains it. Okay.
Yeah,
notice that.
Yeah, Lighthouse is in a growth mode right now.
Well, we talked. I think we mentioned this last Wednesday, but I think they might be trying to be acquired.
Oh yeah, we
and
did
to
talk
be acquired,
about that.
you have to make yourself popular enough and big enough that you get noticed, right?
Yeah.
And that could be what they're trying to do.
Exactly what's going on. It's exactly what LinkedIn did. And like a fool, I didn't have the money to buy into it when I did. I mean, God, the stock went from like it was $2 to over the day it went public, it went from $2 to $120. And now it has been as high as 250.
Yeah.
Holy shit, are you kidding me?
No,
I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming, and I kicked myself in the ass. I was going to dump 10 grand into it, and I didn't do it, So I had next to my art studio, I had two studios. I had one in Naples and one in Bonita. And the guy that had the store front next to me, he sold teakwood furniture from the Middle East. He'd go over there to India and Bali, and he opened up his store. And I walked into his store, and he was sitting there, and he had the paper in his hand, and he looked up and he said, "Guess what?" I said, "No." He said, "Yep, they went public." I went, He didn't invest either. And I told him, "Man, you got to do it. It's coming."
Well, hindsight's 20/20, right?
Yeah.
Like the Tesla. Can you imagine if wanting the Tesla early on? Oh,
shit. Yeah. But but Alignable, yeah, I'm